Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Very special opportunity here, partnered up with our friends at the FCA. We're going to talk a little bit about not only the fantastic fundraiser that they have going on and coming up very soon, but we're going to talk about the new leadership positions, the guys that are in charge, and we're talking to the heavy hitters of the FCA right here in the Steel Valley. So at this time, we are going to waste no time. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time here on YSN, we are bringing in a guy that we want to introduce you to all across the Valley, all across the YSN body of networks. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you in his first year of leadership here, Mr. Bernie Bennett. Bernie, how are you, buddy?
That's quite a welcome, DJ. Thank you. As someone famous always says on his radio show, better than I deserve. So.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you've done incredible things in the midst of your first year here. I hear nothing but great things about your leadership and the servant leadership here for FCA continues to grow under your tutelage. So for you, when you stepped into this role, what was one of the most important pieces of the puzzle that you wanted to make sure you solved?
Well, I think, continuity, I think is a big word for us. And unfortunately, continuity is one of those things you can't just speed ahead and do. It's a day-to-day building process, but really establishing the fact that, Lord willing, I'm here for the long haul, that my commitment is, I think in terms of decades in my role here. So just establishing that understanding, and relationships are always going to be the key to what we do. I stepped into this role. We had a long time servanthood with Bob Kemple, who has been with FCA for multiple years. And I just wanted to, really step in and let people know, hey, I'm here to be a part of this for the long haul. The continuity, people need to see that people are in place for, a long period of time. So I think just establishing that, hey, I'm here, and my desire is to be here for the long haul and to help grow this ministry.
And I talking to you in previous to our interview here, you are rooted, established, in love with this position. So when you look at, the things that you're looking to not necessarily change, but to lift and raise up that has already been done so well by FCA and the leadership here, what are some of those things that you say, hey, I can tweak this a little bit, maybe pivot and not move, and we can go on a nice path towards success?
Yeah, I think just establishing our role in the community and in amongst churches, amongst schools, we that's our area where we thrive. When someone supports FCA, they're not supporting me, they're not supporting our staff, they're not supporting our board. They're really supporting their community, their town, their school district, their neighborhood, because we're plugged in, we're engaged right where they live. So I think just continuing that, it's a multi-point ministry. We talk about campuses, churches, and community, kind of our FCA 4 Cs. We just want to dig deeper. And, oftentimes you think in terms of how big can we get, how wide can we grow, how far out can we spread. We really want to dig deep, and we really want to become a part of the fabric of communities that we serve in and serve with.
I love the fact that when we started talking, and you said your goal, your objective when you were a little bit younger, a puppy, if you will, was that you wanted to be an AD, you wanted to be a coach. That's where you saw yourself. Yeah. You are. You found your role here, more maybe a general manager from this perspective. But why was that so important to you? What drove you into that the leadership position of athletic director, a coach, and things of that nature? And how does that tie up to what you're doing right here with the FCA?
Well, like a lot of young people, I love sports. Played Little League baseball, played the game until I ran out of places to go. No one was standing in line to give me a scholarship. So after high school, it became pretty clear that 5'9", 155 doesn't necessarily go real far. But I love sports. I wanted to be around that. I wanted to be around youth and kids. And yeah, when I was a young man, graduated college, my dream job would have been an AD somewhere. And so FCA, has come along in my life at a point where, like so many good things that have come to me, my wife has been a part of that early on in this. When we met Bob Kemple, we met some others in the ministry, and just started, looking around and volunteering and doing some things. My wife said, "You love Jesus, you love kids, and you love sports. Mm-hmm. This role is made for you." And really at that point is when I really started to consider the opportunity. And then, in a short period of time, the opportunity presented itself to to be a part of this. To be a servant leader is my greatest desire. Titles are important for clarity's sake, and we have to have them at times. But really, my desire is just to be a servant leader. It's easy to say that. It sounds good, right? On
buzzwords, yep.
Yeah, on something like this. But that's my heart, and I hope that actions speak louder than words, and that's my greatest desire, is to be a servant.
Absolutely love that. And as you know, leadership comes in all different forms, and I guess my biggest interest is for you. A leader needs to know kind of how they lead and how they best lead. And for you, what is that? I mean, when you think of your best quality of a leader, what is that you bring to the table, Bernie?
Well, I think helping plug people in where they strive and where they serve. One of the gifts I believe that I have is being able to recognize people's gifts and how, plugging them into a place where not just best for the organization or the ministry or the company in my background, but where will they thrive and where can they get, to be where they're supposed to be. So really, I see myself as a bit of a person who just sees that and distributes people, if for lack of a better term, as a distributor. I was a point guard when I played basketball, and I got as much satisfaction out of hitting somebody with a pass that led to a layup as I did scoring one myself. So that's what I enjoy about this role, is I get to help people further themselves, better themselves, where what their calling is, what God's called them to, and just be a part of that. I've seen that play out in my life where I've just been a facilitator for people to grow and bloom in areas where they've been called. So I get great joy in that.
Naturally, as a point guard, you got to keep one eye on the scoreboard, the other eye on the court. So for you, when you look up at the scoreboard for the FCA, how do you rack up points so you guys are prepared to win and to succeed?
I think by fostering relationships and growth and finding people that, like I've said earlier, that really want to, it's tough it's never been easy growing up.
Sure.
But I think we live in a time and a culture, in the world where, it's really tough being a kid. And, we just want to find people who love kids and want to do things the right way for the right reasons to make impact in this life. But, we're about eternal differences. We're about the differences that we can make here and now, but all about, helping kids find that path to a good life here and the eternity with Christ. I mean, that's what we're all about.
I think one of the coolest things, obviously, when we're talking about scoreboards and success, this fundraiser that we're about to talk about, the golf outing, I've been a part of it for several years, probably 5-6 years now. It's a joy for me to be a part of. It's a joy for me to help you guys raise money for, because to me, without this fundraiser, you guys are kind of left in the lurch a little bit from some of the objectives that you need to do, because there's some big swingers, some big hitters coming out for this golf outing, not just literally on the course, but they help your fundraising efforts. For you, when you look at this being your second time through, what are some of the important parts and the pieces that need to happen and are still available for other people to step up and take advantage of and be part of your mission for the FCA?
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. This is one of our major fundraisers for the year. I mean, this is how we do what we do, and as good-hearted as people are, and as much as we desire to work in these areas of ministry. Someone once said that the gospel is free, but ministry costs money, and it takes money to do what we want to do and grow the ministry the way that we want to do it in this world. And so the golf outing is a great time. Beautiful course at Youngstown Country Club. It's a wonderful event, but it really does allow us to springboard and to go and do the things that we're called to do, to go into the world and make disciples, and reach young people and teachers and coaches. And this is the way that we do it. It's great exposure. It's a great fundraiser, but it's also a great time of fellowship. And I think it's helpful to see, as much as we can do this, to gather people in one place and say, hey, this is what we're about. This is what we're striving to do. Because I think most people have a name recognition of FCA, but they're just not quite. Who are the people? Who is where and what are they doing and how do they do it? And so really, it's multifunctional. It's a great fundraiser. It's a great golf course. It's a great competition and people have a great time doing it. But really, I think from my perspective, putting people in the same room or the same space, letting them see who we are, what we do, and how we do it. I think there's great benefit to that as well.
Do we have any who's going to be speaking? Any people that are out there for the first time, maybe that you want to kind of accelerate on this
Well,
show?
we're working on a surprise, what we think might be a surprise that I'm not ready to release right
Okay.
now, but there's something that we're trying to do that would be a pretty cool surprise for people. We really strive to, make it informational, but we really want people to have a good time and to come out. So we'll have some video, some things going on video and some introductory things, but we really want to keep it moving. We know people come there, to golf and to have a good time. So we don't want to bog them down too much with, with a pitch. But we may have a surprise, but we always want to keep our mission and our ministry, out in front. And we're so much built on relationships that we just want people to kind of see us in our, I guess, our natural habitat. So to speak. But
hey, if your natural habitat's a golf course, I like that habitat.
Right. It could be worse. Yeah.
Bernie, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate you. Looking forward to continuing to build our relationship between YSN, the FCA, and naturally between you and I, man. Looking forward to it. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, DJ. Love the time, and thank you very much.
You got it. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Another great interview coming up. A guy I've known for a very long time. Second only to BK, who we'll talk to in just a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we bring in the board president of the FCA here in the Steel Valley. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sean Summers.
Hey, good to be in studio with you, DJ.
Hey, new digs.
The new digs.
The new digs. Not too far away from home for you, so a little bit closer, so we can talk a little bit more. But I think the thing that I want to talk to you about most, being the board president, I mean, you're a guy that's had a heart for this organization, this mission for such a long time. You've served in many capacities. Everybody knows you as something different, right? Whether it's a businessman, whether it's a coach, whether it's a guy in the community or here in the FCA and so many other things. For you, why does this line up with your life's mission, and why do you continue to do it, out of the goodness of your heart?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I like to say I didn't find FCA. FCA found me, really, because when you're involved in serving, and whether it's, my own kids, raising my own kids involved in athletics, we all know that the reason we're that people watch YSN, people go to the events is because we love what sports teaches about life and skills. But it's getting to the heart of the matter when it comes to kids. And like Bernie had shared, there is a lot of difficulty today with kids in sports, and we're addressing a lot of the physical things that we need to address, but we got to get to the heart of the kids, because that's the reality, is getting to the heart. So it aligns with my value system, because I feel like we can't just be businessmen in the community or business owners in the community. If we want the communities to be the kind of communities that we want, we've got to be involved in the community and the next generation of kids coming up. So FCA found me. I am glad that FCA found me. It was a great relationship I developed with Bob Kimple, and then I got to meet you. And just love.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. You came with the territory, I guess. But some of the greatest people that I have in my life are people that I've met through ministry. And at the end of the day, being on the board of FCA Steel Valley allows us the ability to work and be the support in the ministry for those that are on the front lines, that are day to day in the schools, on the fields, in the practices that are encouraging those kids.
Let's dig into that a little bit. You made the great analogy that you are kind of the skeleton, and they are the muscle, the skin,
tissue.
all that stuff. So in your role, how do you take that and how do you build upon what the FCA already has to make it stronger from the foundational standpoint, as opposed to the quote unquote window dressing?
Sure. Well, first of all, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're talking about FCA, Steel Valley, but we're talking about FCA at large.
Yeah.
We're talking about an organization that's been around, a ministry for almost 70 years. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So most people know that in order for any ministry to take place, you have to have a solid board that is supporting that ministry. You have to have that infrastructure, that skeleton, so to speak. And we provide the framework for those guys to have the freedom to work in the ministry and not be worried about some of the things that are necessary that come with the territory of having an organization, a nonprofit organization, or anything of the like. So we work on development, which is helping to raise funds for the organization, because nothing happens unless we have funds to do ministry.
Sure.
And then we work on communications, which you have been a real big part of that, allowing us to get the word out and make sure people know about the fantastic things that are going on because social media and media in general
Mhm.
is absolutely imperative that people know what's happening. And then, of course, we have a prayer support, team that is working on supporting, praying, walking beside our area reps that are in the field that are doing the day-to-day in the ministry kind of work. So all those kind of go together, and it's kind of our role as a board to make sure that we are giving them what's necessary to be able to do all the ministry.
And there's an element of recruitment, right? You're looking for the
Sure.
right people to build from the inside out. So when you're looking for people to join the FCA and fight in the mission that you guys believe in, and everybody should believe in, what are you looking for? I guess in essence, what was the perfect candidate if you're shining the bat signal up there?
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Well, okay, so the litmus test really, if that's kind of what you're asking.
Yep.
The litmus test, some people would say it's different for a board versus what we'd be looking for somebody who works in the field and the rep. At the end of the day, love God,
Yep.
love people.
Pretty good start.
That's a pretty good start. That's kind of the command. But who are those people?
Yeah.
Well, they're other people, but we got to love kids. So if you're, it's fellowship of Christian athletes. We're working with kids in schools. Yes, we're ministering to and through coaches, because who spends the most time with kids? Coaches have more impact than anybody
Influence,
has in they're great influencers. So we do have to be cognizant of the fact that we're ministering to the coaches, but ultimately it's through the coaches that we reach the kids. So the test is, do you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? Do you love people? And do you feel like it's a responsibility that we have to reach people, to make a difference in their lives, whoever those people may be? And boy, if we can check those two boxes off, we get those two out of the way, then now it's, what is your skill set? What do you bring to the table? Are you a better kind of person to work in the ministry, where you're on the street, so to be the hands and feet? You're in the school, or you're working with a coach. Is that your gifting? Is that your talent? Is that your heart? Or do you have some skills, like myself as a businessman running a business for the last 30 years? Do I have a skill set that is more lending itself to the fact that I can help support the ministry through raising funds and do something that maybe somebody who's working in the ministry can't do, or is not as gifted to do? So it takes all of our different talents, abilities, and comes together.
God-given, of course.
God-given, of course.
So if somebody's watching this right now and it's speaking to their hearts, how do they reach out to you? How do they get involved with this mission to get started as soon as this fundraiser?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this fundraiser is a big deal, because the fellowship we have there, it's a great place for us to be able to not just tell our story through social media. No offense to you, DJ. Social media is great.
Yeah.
And internet is great, but there is nothing like being shoulder to shoulder. We as men, we do things a little different than women.
Yeah.
Women do ministry face to face,
Mhm.
and they look at each other in the eyes and they have their emotional responses. Guys do ministry shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Guys like to golf together, hunt together, fish together, ride motorcycles, in my case, together. And that opens up doors. And so that's why we love the golf outing, because we get to do something, that men, not that women don't, but men love to do.
Yeah.
Is we golf and we get to share. And there's opportunities for me then, and for Bob and for Bernie, to be able to share, what kind of roles are available and where somebody might be gifted. So came around that a different way, but
No, I like it.
Reach out to Bob Kimple or Bernie Bennett or myself, because we are looking for people who have giftings in the area of leadership on boards. Not a huge time requirement. More than anything, love God, love people, and be willing to say, hey, at the end of the day, I've made a difference in my community.
I love it. Sean Summers,
Yes.
Thanks as always for stopping by. Always a joy to have you, man.
Yeah,
Good
it's
luck
great.
with the mission. Good luck with the fundraiser this year, and keep doing what you're doing. You're killing it.
Thanks so much.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This next guest that we have representing the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Steel Valley, a guy that I have known literally since the day that we started here at YSN. The first interview that ever occurred here at YSN was with this gentleman, and I am just so anxious and so happy to have this one. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Kimball. BK, I mean, it's so great to have you. I mean, we look 7 years ago, and what FCA has turned into is, especially here in this area, the brand of FCA Steel Valley has grown and grown and grown and grown. And I feel like it just keeps on going. But it's a guy like you whose vision said, in this valley, you started this up and said, I believe that God has a presence here in a big way. And here we are sitting here 7.5 years later, and you have done everything that you told me you were going to do. Not exactly linear the way that we thought it would be, but that's how God acts. And you told me that from the jump.
Yes.
As a business owner, you said it's not always going to be a bicycle ride, smooth sailing across. Sometimes you're climbing that mountain, sometimes you're sliding down it. For you, what has this journey been like the last just 7.5 years, let alone when you began this baby, in your ride to the top, I should say?
Well, I would say trying to do it my way was the biggest mistake I made right off the bat.
Sure.
Trying to use my skill set, which was very limited. Like, if we all humble ourselves and realize that, we don't know what we're doing, and then you realize that, hey, if I follow God, things happen. That's it. Once I figured that, it took a few years, but once I learned, my life verse, and my dad and my mom kind of, we talk about drills in sports. They kind of drilled that into me. If you really want to own your faith, it's not on your parents' coattails. It's not going to church. It's not going to FCA huddle. It's about your personal walk with Jesus Christ. And the scripture is to trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Yeah.
Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. That's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And that was my life verse very early on. My dad took me through the gospel as a young man. Now I get to do that as a staff person with FCA, with coaches, athletes, teachers, whoever comes across our path, and if you don't let go, you can't let God. And that's how it works.
I love that.
I'm a shy kid from Columbiana.
Right.
We were just talking about, joking with Bernie and Sean about me being the big hurt. There's no way. I'm just a skinny kid from Columbiana that had some athletic skills, but I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything until I was probably 25 years old.
Yeah.
But you can't just know the gospel. We're called to be missionaries and messengers and representatives and ambassadors for the gospel. And, it took me a while to get that. You just don't lead by example. You got to sometimes open your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that I've seen in your navigation of being captain, you know what I mean? Of everybody, and Bernie, we've talked about, everybody sees you. Every time somebody picks up the phone and says, hey, I'm from FC, where's Bob? Where's Bob? There's a little bit, and I share in that with you, because every time somebody talks about YSN, it's, okay, well, why am I not talking to DJ? For you, there's a lot of power in that, but there's also a lot of humility, because you've been able to help other leaders rise above. And that's what leaders do. Great leaders do not create great followers. They create other great leaders, which you have helped do. And you found great leaders to help in your mission. And I think that's one of the biggest strengths that you have, and what I've been able to see. But talk about the challenges of that, and you kind of bury your head sometimes, because you're like, man, I want this guy to rise up, and it's kind of like being in a shadow sometimes. And you identify that.
Yeah.
How do you kind of move on from that and let people lead in a situation where everybody looks to you as the leader?
Yeah, you got to realize the Holy Spirit's the playmaker. You can't force people to do things. It's he's working on them 99.9% of the time. You can nudge and you can ask, but one of the things I've learned is you get to a point where let God make the play. And if you trust that he's gonna do 1,000 things through that person rather than you forcing. You can't be a dictator.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta lead by consensus, but sometimes you just gotta trust. And that's the key to opening your door. And one of our key way to really ignite people is called E3. That's our discipleship process. Engage, equip, and empower. God's always engaging people. And if they're coming at you, then you realize, okay, that the Holy Spirit's done his work. You just got to put them in a position where they can make those plays. So it's engage, equip, and empower. We want to keep our huddles and our engagements in every community, whether it's golf outing or, leading a huddle or working with a local team. if we're making it fun and engaging, that's one thing. But if we take it to the next level where there's some equipping going on with God's word is where the power is. You asked about power. You mentioned that comment. Our 30 is empowerment. So engage, equip, and empower. So turn the ministry over to others. My job is to turn the ministry over to others in the community. We can't be 50 or 60 different places, once in a week. That's impossible. Sometimes hard to hit 50 or 60 schools in a year.
Yeah.
But if we empower the local community where you love where you live, you care about the kids and the coaches, the teachers, the sports teams, the churches, if we all work together as one team, game over.
I think one of the coolest things that I know about you is you care so much for these kids and these schools and these student athletes. Second only to your own grandchildren, by the way. Happy congratulations, Poppy. Why? And I know that's a loaded question with one word, but why do these kids mean so much to you? Kids that you don't even know yet.
It's our relationship with God the Father. If we understand how much He loves us, and then we can spread that out. As a dad of 4 daughters, there were some challenges. When the boys started coming around and they hit junior high and high school, come on, right? So there's an understanding. The Bible talks about knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, we all know the boys are going to come around, but navigating that, you better have a good playbook.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible's a good playbook, or having a mentor in your life is a good playbook. I had great mentors. A lot of these young people don't have mentors in their lives. So there's where the opportunity is. If we go out into the community and we understand we're not just sitting in a pew, get off the bench, make a play for Jesus Christ in your local school. It doesn't matter if it's 3rd grade through Youngstown State. All age groups need a mentor. We still need mentors as adults. If we don't have a mentor, we don't have accountability. If we don't understand the Father's love and how much He loves us and forgives us 70 times 7, then how are we gonna make that play, in our own family? Winning starts at home first. Okay, so if we win at home, or if we win as a coach, we coach behind the jersey to the heart of the player, then we understand. That's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So that's how it works.
It's incredible. I mean, just such a great leader, first of all. So thank you for that, for mentoring not just these kids in the schools, the coaches, but also yours truly. I mean, you've been a huge mentor for me. Every time that I feel like I'm in a little bit of a conundrum, it's either you or Dan Yeagley. So it's just whoever pops up on that phone first.
Dan Yeagley, that's a good name.
He's an okay guy.
He's an okay guy.
He's a decent human being. For you, I mentioned earlier that you've been a part of this. That the time that I've known, right? FCA. When I think FCA, I think of Bob Kimple. For you to see this fundraiser, this golf outing grow the way it has. I mean, you weren't begging people when it started to get there, but it was everything but, right? It was, hey, just please come, please come, please come. And it has grown exponentially. The funds have grown exponentially, blessed beyond measure. You've got to be looking at like the same way that you look at your girl sometimes as a proud papa and go, wow, this has really grown. And this is all because of the team that we have in place at the FCA. What's the feeling you get? Obviously a little bit of anxiety this time of year, but when you're able to stand on that porch at YCC and see everybody going, and the reason they're there isn't necessarily because of the bottom dollar, but it's because of the guy that rides in the sky.
Amen. FCA, right? So fellowship is our first name. So if we do an event that's fun and has some food and obviously some great fellowship.
Chick-fil-A. I mean, I'm in.
Yeah, come on. Let's go. Just for that reason. But I was stressed out majorly the first time.
Sure.
And I didn't know what I was doing. Again, you talked about being humble. I just really felt that God told me to call some people that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Back to that mentor idea, like Bob Stauffer, one of the former directors here.
Sure.
And I was scared to death of Bob. He kind of sets up on a pedestal for me. But I had to kind of buck up and say, okay, this is important, so let's make the call. And boy, did he just guide me right through it, but I don't think I slept for like 2 or 3 weeks before or after, because I'm not a natural person that wants to reach out and talk to people. But sometimes, again, you got to stick your neck out there. And it's a worthy cause for Jesus Christ. So
you're an introvert?
I'm a natural introvert.
No kidding.
Yeah. So my wife says you are no longer that, but God does things,
Yeah.
with you. He molds you. He makes you who you're supposed to be, not who you want to be or think you want to be or what somebody else is telling you to be, but the bottom line is follow God.
I love it. BK, I can't thank you enough. It is always a humbling experience for me to have you sitting across the microphone. Thank you so much. If there's anything we can do, it's only one call away here for FCA always. If people want to get a hold of you and see how I know Sean talked about it. How do people get a hold of you?
We're all over social media. I think that's just an open door anytime. Obviously, go on to Facebook, FCA Steel Valley. Very simple. That's the name of our ministry, FCA Steel Valley, or Instagram as well. FCA_SV for Steel Valley. So, and always hashtag FCA SVY. That's it, man.
Bob Kimple, ladies and gentlemen, guys, thank you guys
amazing.
so much for being part of
Appreciate
YSN from day one. And thanks for sitting down and talking to us. And don't forget to get involved with the FCA golf outing coming. What's the day?
June 10th.
June 10th.
We have 2 shotgun starts this year, in the morning around 8 a.m. And then we do a luncheon for everybody at the turn, so to speak. And then 1:30 p.m. Everything would be on Facebook, FCA Steel Valley.
And we'll share it as well. Make sure you check out that. Sign up today. I know slots are going to fill up very quickly. So get a foursome and get out, glorify God, and hit that doggone golf ball around for 18 holes. It's not about who wins. Everybody wins when you're at the FCA golf outing. Bob.